Welcome. My name is Madeleine Gilborne. I work as the Vice President for Clean Technologies in Alfa Laval. And today we will take you on the topic of energy efficiency. And we are very excited to facilitate this session today together with ABB, where we will hear from 3 different experts in the field why energy efficiency is the unsung hero on the path to decarbonization and about the initiative of energy efficiency movement. We have 3 experts today. With me here in Glasgow, I have Brian Motherway, the Head of Energy Efficiency at the International Energy Agency. And with us on link, we also have Morten Wierod, President of the Motion Business in ABB. And we also have Julien Gennetier, Vice President of the Energy Division in Alfa Laval. So let me start with you, Brian. Could you please introduce us to the world of energy efficiency? And why is this so important for us to reach the target to net zero?
Thank you, Madeleine. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you to my fellow panelists. I'm looking forward to this discussion. It's an exciting time, obviously, here at COP this week. There's been a lot of, positive momentum, a lot of really good signals, some really great new pledges on net zero. It's great to see that, but it's also worth remembering that here in 2021, our emissions are actually rising, not going down. So the need to act is really urgent. And in that context, the IEA published its net zero roadmap, which looks at a pathway to 2050 to get to a net zero energy system. We see that it is achievable, but not easy. But it's not achievable without leading with energy efficiency. It's clear, particularly in this first decade of the 2020s, that if we don't push really hard on energy efficiency, everything else is more expensive, more challenging, and really just puts the task probably beyond our reach. And it's also worth remembering that energy efficiency is available here and now. We know there's plenty of potential to become more efficient in the way we all use energy. And in doing so, there are many benefits, not least, of course, emissions reduction, but also energy efficiency creates jobs. And that's really important here in 2021 as many economies try to recover from the difficulties of the last couple of years. Spending money on improving buildings, on upgrading equipment, on upgrading the efficiency of industry, all creates many jobs. And it creates them quickly and effectively, and it creates them for many skill sets and in many parts of the world. And of course, then energy efficiency means our energy bills are lower, our dependence on energy is lower, and therefore our resilience is higher. So that's all great. If energy efficiency is wonderful. Why doesn't it happen more? Well, it's challenging, as we know. Not all of us spend our time thinking about the energy we use, whether it's in our homes or in our businesses. The measures can seem technical and complicated. From a policy point of view, it requires strong policy that sometimes we see, sometimes we don't. When we see strong energy efficiency policies, they really do work. And in fact, just yesterday we had a very interesting conversation which I'd like to tell you about. First of all, we published new data that shows that those countries who've worked at energy efficiency for the longest have really got huge gains. So in countries, for example, that have had energy efficiency standards for appliances for several decades, whether it's refrigerators or washing machines, things like that, those appliances are actually using half the energy they otherwise would be because of the success of those policies. And in fact, they're cheaper to buy than ever before. So it's a win-win for consumers. It costs less to access these kind of technologies which enhance our lives. And also then they cost less to run and they emit less. So yesterday, the IEA with the government of UK in their capacity as COP president launched the product efficiency call to action, and we looked at 4 key technologies which are motors, lighting, refrigeration and air conditioning. And we chose those for a couple of reasons. First of all, between them they use nearly half of the total electricity demand in the world. They're really massive in terms of their importance. And secondly, we know that the technologies exist to really accelerate their efficiency improvement. So yesterday 14 key governments ranging from India, Indonesia, Japan, Brazil, Germany, many others, all signed up to a pledge to push for doubling efficiency progress in those key technologies this decade. We were reminded yesterday that we have no time to wait. Between now and 2030, there are exactly 425 weeks. So no time for stalling, no time for more discussion. We've got to act. And energy efficiency is something that we can act on now and really deliver these gains for us as consumers, for us as societies, and for the planetary mission towards net zero.
That's fantastic news. Are we on the right track then to meet?
It's patchy.
Yeah.
We make progress in energy efficiency every year. Every year the world becomes a bit more energy efficient because we upgrade our cars, we upgrade our televisions, we upgrade our infrastructure, our industry. Motors is a great success story, getting efficient over the years. Lighting is a fantastic success story where we see huge gains in efficiency. But there are many other areas. I mentioned appliances. Countries that have strong appliance standards are seeing huge gains, but 2/3 of the appliances sold today have no policies applied to them. So there's 1/3 where we're really seeing good action and really good success, 2/3 where we're not. So there's huge scope from what we've learned, where policy works, where the technologies are available, where technological solutions exist, to just apply them more widely and to strengthen them. So we are on the right track, but we are in first gear and we need to accelerate.
Could not agree more. So thank you, Brian. In ABB, they are very dedicated to energy efficiency and have started an initiative called the Energy Efficiency Movement. And today, Alfa Laval is the first company to join that movement together with ABB. Morten, can you please share your view on energy efficiency and tell us about the energy efficiency movement and what does it really mean?
Absolutely, and thank you a lot also for setting it up. And because at ABB we are very passionate about sustainability, and as we all know, energy efficiency is really the center of that. So it's not a new topic. And I'm working in our motion business in ABB, which is doing all our electric motors and variable speed drive, which is really the energy efficiency in a box, so to say. So we have addressing this topic for many years, but we're so happy now to see the higher awareness and engagement on the very important topic as we see these days, and especially now at COP26. So maybe you don't know this, but about 45% of the world's electricity is used to power motors in buildings and industrial applications. And as the world now is really going electric, energy efficiency, in our point of view, is no longer an option, it's just a must. Unfortunately, we still see that we don't take the opportunity at hand, as Brian was saying. We're doing it many areas, but still, there is way too many outdated, inefficient motor systems, as an example, that are still in use. The good news, though, is that the new technology is already available. And if we would use that, we could save 10% of the entire world electricity consumption if we would upgrade and move into using the technology at hand today with really efficient motor and drive systems as one example, and really deploy that across industries and in our buildings and cities around the world. So as we all know, the cleanest energy is the one that have never been used. Yes. So therefore, it's what we say that energy efficiency is the unsung hero of the path to decarbonization. And that was really why we started the energy efficiency movement, because we feel it's an obligation as a leader in the industry to stand up and take a lead. But we also know that it's limited what we can do alone. But together with the rest of society, then we can do so much more together. So we need to work on regulations and standards that we can really get all the new levels and using there, for instance, the eco design that the European Union implemented this year from July 1st, making the minimum standard a bit higher. In 2 years, we're going to move to what we call IE4 in the industry, which is, again, the higher efficiency. But we have already new technology available, so we need to go further. I think we also need to work together with investors, with academia, with cities, but not the least partners here in our industry. And therefore, I'm so happy that today to welcome Alfa Laval as our first member in the movement, because as I say, together we can do so much more.
I have been experiencing COP firsthand. That means you're standing lines, you go to the wrong bus. But I've been here for 5 days now, and I can tell you, Morten, thank you very much for your presentation, that this story of yours and of ours is a powerful one. And they should be more known, and I'm so grateful that you have engaged in this. I'm Jakob Kiefer, I'm head of public affairs at group level for ABB, and I think what we try to achieve here as a company is to partner up with the greatest. I guess Alfa Laval is one of those. but also to engage with policymakers. Brian, the work that IEA has done the last years or so has really transformed that organization from becoming maybe more of an institution that presented facts is now also driving the whole agenda, and I think you have been at the forefront of everything, so we're very grateful for that. Now, can I turn to Alfa Laval and to Julien? I hope that's how you pronounce. Are you French?
Yes, I am.
Voila. You are also in the same transition as the rest, I guess, of the industry. And you want to drive decarbonization, and I guess energy efficiency was something that really struck you as well as something, this is something we should team up on. Can you tell me a little bit how your focus has been when it comes to energy efficiency, and what are your customers saying, and perhaps also expand a little bit what you would need from policymakers to make your business, I guess, more rentable, but also make it more profitable in the sense that we also try to do something about the climate. Julien.
Well, thank you, Jakob, and all of you on stage in Glasgow for giving this opportunity to join the panel today. Yes, we believe at Alfa Laval that energy efficiency is part of the solution. We believe that the path to decarbonization is twofold. It's about developing new solutions for clean energy sources for the future. And from an energy efficiency point of view, it's about deploying the existing solutions that are already existing, because they do exist, as Morten has mentioned and Brian has mentioned as well. And it's about making it happen today. It's not about tomorrow, it is really about happening today in existing industry and buildings. And similarly to ABB, energy efficiency has been in our backbone since the last 45 years, where we have been implementing plate heat exchangers in many applications. As an example, today, we, thanks to plate heat exchangers that we are installing in buildings in industry, we save an additional 50 gigawatt of energy generation capacity, translating into a further addition of 25 million tons of CO2, just by installing plate heat exchangers that are more efficient than the incumbent technology. We do that by recovering heat from data centers, heavy industry, to supply, for example, this heat to district heating network. In a recent study that we have done among 50 of the largest industrial companies in Sweden, we have found that there's a high focus. 3 out of 4 of the respondents say that they have a goal to increase energy efficiency, but as of today, they only 14% of those were recognizing that they were making the full use of waste heat today. So the potential is there, the technologies are there. First of all, I would like to say how happy we are to be the first company joining the energy efficiency movement, because we need to drive action or accelerate those actions. And yes, here we need support from the policymakers and in general from all the different people that can contribute to make this movement accelerating. As an example, when it comes to heat, we need further sector coupling in order to connect the emitter of heat from the user. I mentioned data center, for example, with district heating network, and that requires typically some policy framework to support that, to create new business model, not new technology, the technology are there, but new business model, new policy framework to make this sector coupling and this cooperation happen. So what I particularly like about, and we particularly like about the energy efficiency movement, is this notion of one movement and action, not about just commitment and talks. It's about action and the cooperation nature of the movement, where opinion leaders and leaders of the different industries, ABB in the electricity, Alfa Laval in heat, and others possibly joining this movement, cooperate together to make things happen.
Thank you, Julien. I have a question for the three of you. We're going a little bit off script because you guys have been so fast and efficient, not wasting energy, I guess. When we talk about here at COP, there's a lot of focus on technology, and I think we also recognize that this technology has been in the OECD countries, as it were, but also Julien, I can see you perhaps have a question on this. And IEA, what have you done? Should we start with you, Morten? How do we reach the rest of the planet?
Sorry there. Jakob, I think we have some technical challenges, both with those of Julien and me being online. So maybe you could repeat that and see if we have, because we were not able to hear you.
Yeah. Julien, you have a comment? I'm sorry, we can't hear you here, Morten, so that's why we sound a bit dumbfounded, but let's see.
Well, what Morten was trying to say is that actually we haven't heard you asking your question, Jakob, either due to the echo or being on mute, so you will have to take it again.
Can you hear me now? All right, let's try again. This energy efficiency movement is a lot about technology and changing the setup in factories and all things driven by your technology. What do you think it would take to spread this technology also to countries on the developing track outside the OECD countries? What does it need? What type of policy decision could be done? And maybe we can start with you, Morten, see a little bit. We are a global company, 115,000 employees or something like that, and in over 100 markets. How can we be also a driver for this energy efficiency movement, where there might not be district heating, where you can actually take that extra energy off? What can we do, Morten?
Oh, thanks, Jakob. What we can do is here to, first of all, it's about getting knowledge about the opportunity at hand, because we see today that there is a lack of awareness. And as Brian said also about this, it has a cost of implementation, but it also have a big opportunity for cost avoidance in the future. So using more energy efficient, when we're talking about, for instance, over HVAC units in all buildings around the world, will also reduce cost, the energy cost over the lifetime. So this is the awareness that needs to get there. And I believe it is a business opportunity as well, moving to a greener future and a greener society. That is a business opportunity, and also for the countries who are not there today. And that is where I think the awareness needs to come higher on the agenda, but also looking at the total cost of ownership, because it has to have a price. Also polluting the atmosphere has to have a price, and therefore, and that needs to be a global cost that we all adhere to, and there it doesn't matter really where you are in the world, and there we rather need to have incentives that help those developing countries to get on that wave, and there is where policymakers, but also the world have to work together, which I think that is part of, I mean, one of the most difficult but also the most important topics that will be discussed these weeks in Glasgow, how we can address this and do it together, because we cannot address this country by country or company by company. It's really it's the moment of getting together and solving this important topic between us.
Absolutely, Morten, that's why we are here at ABB. Julien, some reflections on the same question.
I don't think we should oppose developing countries with OECD countries. I think of course, there might be different challenges, and if not heating, then cooling is one of those challenges. And I remember Brian, the IEA, issued a report how cooling could be one of the hidden problem as well. I mean, if we would add at the current pace all AC unit connected to the grid, we will need to. He was talking about billions of additional units that will consume the equivalent power generation of US, Europe, and Japan. Just to cope to this additional increase of AC units. And here, for example, district cooling solutions are being implemented in certain number of countries. So maybe the challenge is slightly different from a weather perspective, but definitely the solution to look at are probably fairly similar. Here I'm completely with Brian and Morten on implementation of standards from day one. Why not? You know, it's cost so much to retrofit. That's the advantage, that when you build a new plant, a new building, put the right standard from day one. Retrofitting it will cost more. And then the second element that probably Morten was alluding is the financing part. Now with connectivity, IoT, that gives that opportunity to measure the energy efficiency gain, and the right policy framework, we can bring in financial institutions to support the financing of those energy efficiency measures in those developing countries as much as in the more mature economies as well. So I don't think we should oppose. I think some of the ingredients are the same, just adapt a little bit the recipe to the local condition.
Yes, absolutely. IEA, a policy collector and a policy advisor on the developing nation's ability to reap the benefits of technology. What can you do as an institution?
Well, as you're saying, Jakob, it's a global issue, right? So a ton of carbon doesn't carry a passport. Exactly. Wherever it comes from, it has the same effect. And no matter what we do here in Europe, if the rest of the world isn't doing it, every part of the world isn't with us, well then we're not going to achieve our goals. And in particular, if you look at the developing and emerging world, that's where the growth is. As we speak in the developing and emerging economies, every second 4 air conditioners are sold. And every week, buildings are built to the size of the footprint of Paris. We're adding a Paris worth of buildings every week. And all of those buildings, those technologies, the air conditioners, the lights, the motors, they're either efficient and low carbon or they're not, and they'll be there for decades. So we're at a crucial moment. And policy drives that, and that's why policy is really important. And Morten used the phrase business opportunity. I can tell you, almost every day I'm getting phone calls from governments saying, our government has stepped up its net zero target, energy efficiency has to step up, and we need help. We need to know what the next generation of policies are, we need to know how to strengthen our policies, and those policies will follow, because nobody will meet their net zero targets if they don't put those policies in place. So it's going to be a really dynamic time in the next few years. And those policies will be the ones we know, like standards, regulation, building codes. So absolutely, we need much more of that. We need them where they don't exist, and where they do exist, we need to see them strengthened. But we also need a new generation of policies, particularly around digitalization, as Julien has referred to. I think that's going to be a key to unlocking a whole other next level of energy efficiency opportunities. So I really think it's a very exciting time to be in this sector.
I'm asking these questions because we actually had a longer conversation in another format. ABB, we have teamed up with Time Magazine to talk a little bit more in depth about the different challenges and opportunities that are out there. And for those who want to see a little bit of this conversation, I think we will now try to broadcast it if possible. And you can also find this conversation in YouTube and in our social channels. And hopefully also then these expectations that we bring to COP, I believe where we are now, only after 5 days, I'm more optimistic than I were coming in here. And I think that's a general consensus. Still a long way to go, but let's see if we are able to showcase this short video from the Time panel.
COP26, biggest COP since 2015 at least, maybe ever. We can debate that. What's achievable, A, and B, everyone's going to get this question, and what's on your wish list?
First of all, we need very concrete action plan. Not wishful thinking. We need really concrete action plan, and I'm pretty convinced we're going to allocate a certain number of these actions towards the development of new clean energy sources, to technology readiness. You mentioned hydrogen, carbon capture. We will invest in this area for sure, but we need to equally invest in the deployment of already existing and available energy efficiency measures and investments.
Jennifer, what's achievable and what's on your wish list?
You're right. This is a really important COP, and I think also it's important just to remember that it has been delayed by 1 year. I think there is a kind of an increased pressure on this COP, and we're also seeing an increased expectation around countries ratcheting up their emissions. In terms of what's achievable, I think there's a number of things that we're expecting to see. There's a piece around coal phase out. That's obviously really important for understanding kind of energy systems and potentially stranded assets. And then there's a piece around climate finance, and we go back to that point around the kind of transfer of technologies to emerging markets. Developed markets had committed to transfer significant sums of capital to developing markets to help them with the transition. So I think all of these things are on the table.
It's 100 billion, isn't it? And they haven't touched the sides. And the last one, it was below 80, wasn't it? Yeah. Brian, what's on the IEA wish list for COP26?
Efficiency is going to feature very well at COP. We have a major initiative that we've been working on with the UK government in its leading position as COP president. So we're going to be announcing what we call a call for action to raise energy efficiency ambition, where a number of countries are going to commit to really stepping up their ambition for efficiency in this decade. And I stress in this decade because 2050 can seem far away. Some of these things can seem quite abstract. Action now is really what it's got to be about. That's what COP has got to focus on. Action now.
Action now. Morten, final words. Big pressure for you.
So less so blah, blah, blah. I guess that's the topic these days. So, no, and I would have the same on a very pragmatic basics, just saying that this is we have a global problem in front of us. We need a common solution to that issue of carbon neutrality and how we're going to achieve it. And then that we use the market dynamics. And with there, if we need to talk about regulations, even things that will be tough, I think they're about like carbon tax, a global carbon tax, which is an pro or something I believe we have to be able also to use market dynamics to solve the problem. And because we do know that climate change has a cost, and therefore not to put a price on it is also to kind of putting the scale out to balance.
We could almost carry on the conversation about carbon tax by itself, but we can't. I'm the time police. We've hit the end. Brilliant. Thank you so much for that wonderful panel. Thank you, Morten, Brian, and to Jennifer and Julien as well. Absolutely brilliant panel on leading with technology. We've dive deeply into the energy efficiency topic. I think you're much the wiser after that. Another panel in our sustainability series. Big thanks to all our panelists. Thank you.
Yes, so like Jakob said, if you want to listen to the 50-minute version of this, you find it at the energyefficiencymovement.com. Morten, when you see the clip from this panel, and you're here live today on Link at COP26. Do you want to add something to everyone listening in?
Yes, please. I'm very happy that we have, first of all, another warm welcome to Alfa Laval joining the movement. And I know there will be many, many more to follow, and that's because that's the great interest we see on the topic these days. What I do like is this is something for today. It's not about 20, 30, 40, 50, it's something about today. We can act already now, and because technology is available. We talk about, going to the LED lighting instead of light bulb was a massive change. We have the same opportunity now in the field of motors, which is a big, as I say, almost 45% of the world's electricity is used in industrial and systems and in buildings. This is where I'm very passionate about it. And then digital adds to it because that gives us transparency. It shows us what are the biggest consumers, and then we can act. Because first we get the visibility and the transparency, then we can make the right action plan. And this is, as I say, already available today. So that's why I'm very passionate about the topic, and my whole team. That's why they all get up in the morning and go to work and say, because we can make a difference. Technology is available, and we want to be in the forefront and driving that development. So I'm optimistic, but we have a lot of work ahead of us. And no time to lose. So I hope we all get on board and join the energy efficiency movement as a corporation like Alfa Laval, but even on a private and a personal level, that you think about the energy that we could save every day.
Thank you. And Julien, the same question to you. What would you like to add to the audience after this, showing this video today?
Yeah, I think I would like, first of all, to thank ABB for welcoming us into the movement, and happy to hear, Morten, that yes, we are the first one to join the movement with ABB, but we don't want to be the last one. We want to be the one accelerating the movements. It's all of us together. It's not only companies, it's people, it's employees, it's individuals, it's citizens that live and breathe that passion and that commitment to drive energy efficiency as a core element of the transition that is here available here and now. ABB can save electricity, we can save heat. There's so much more to be done in this area, and it's here and now. So for me, in the word movement, I'm repeating myself from what I've said earlier, but I like the movement because it carries the notion of action. And if we can accelerate this action and the deployment of these actions in developing economies, in existing more mature economies, we have to make it happen now. So it's really a call for action and a call to many others to join the movement in driving energy efficiency as a leading element of the decarbonization pathway and the race to net zero. And very happy to hear, Brian, that you have announced those call for action. I think there are more to come and to be created together on industry standards, whether it's in building, industry, sector coupling, to drive innovation, not on technology, but on business model. Super excited to see that momentum.
Thank you very much, Julien. We touched upon this already, Brian, a little bit the sentiment here at COP.
What's the important?
What is your
You don't.
feeling? Can you hear me? Okay. Here on site, what is your reflection so far? We have gone almost the first week now. Do you see that the energy efficiency is seen as a solution in the conversations, or are we not there yet? And how, if not, we have been as efficient as we should have in injecting this into the conversation? What can be done? So firstly, a bit, where is the energy efficiency talks in the COP talks, and how can we accelerate and put that more into the minds of policymakers?
So it is a good COP. A lot of action, a lot of announcements, a lot of momentum, which is great. And I think that efficiency always struggles to make the headlines, to attract leaders' attention. It's not as tangible, not as sexy as a wind turbine or I don't think we can change that. But I think what's really clear now, and our analysis, the targets are impossible without a lead from energy efficiency. And of the drive there. And I think there's an understanding as well that efficiency not only is essential for meeting our carbon targets, but it creates jobs, makes life more comfortable, reduces energy bills. So it speaks to a lot of wider drivers. And I think governments are starting to latch onto that. So like my colleagues on screen, I'm optimistic that we're entering into an important period.
And we'll be around in the audience here also if you have questions afterwards. But remember two things. Energy efficiency is one of the main contributors to the Paris Agreement, and the energy we don't need to use is the cleanest of them all. With that, I would like to say thank you to all of you today.
Thank you, all of you.
Thanks.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you so much.